It's time for ROTD Weekend. I wonder how many times I have started one of these episodes telling you how crazy things are over here. Well, it's happening again. As you can probably tell, I am still sick. It's been going on for over a week, which never happens to me, but it just kind of got worse and worse. I am now finally on antibiotics. I think I must have an infection. So it is getting better, I hope, soon. But then in other news, there is a hurricane heading directly for us. Well, not exactly. We're in Orlando and it's heading for Tampa. And so I am expecting some weather over here and probably no electricity at some point, which is why I'm recording this. It's Wednesday as I'm recording because the hurricane's coming tomorrow on Thursday and we might not have power. So you're probably listening to this on Saturday or Sunday and you already know what happened from this hurricane. I do not yet know. All I know is that I am under the weather and I'm going to be spending a hurricane day. I guess kind of like what I grew up with called like a snow day, right? That is going to happen tomorrow. The kids' school is closed. Marty's university is closed. So we're just going to hunker down. I've stocked up on things already this year. I've mentioned this before. I've got all kinds of soups and canned beans and lots of bottled water. This morning, I put a whole bunch of those bottles into the freezer so that they freeze. And then if we lose power, they'll help keep everything cold. You know, I need to head outside with my team when my kids get home from school. When Marty gets back later today, we'll head outside and bring in all the furniture, anything loose, any debris that could like start flying around and crash through a window or anything like that. We'll do that later. And otherwise, just chilling out. I'm going to make some tasty food, some pumpkin bread, some things like that. So we have some nice snacks while we're being cozy at home. And I'm just going to recuperate with everybody hanging out and chilling, everything closed out there in the crazy stormy world. Yeah. And so that is another installment in Christine's crazy life, this time hurricanes and sickness. But yeah, because of the sore throat, I don't really want to talk very much. So I am going to move on to the exciting part of this show. Our special guest today is someone who is very familiar with crazy. I am speaking with Chef Brittany Martin, who is a banquet chef at the Hyatt Regency Lake Washington. And, you know, banquets, catering, all of that is just nuts busy. Go, go, go. So today, Chef Brittany is here and we are talking about how banquet dining has changed over the years and how people's dietary needs are being taken into account, even though it's big group dining. And she's also sharing a very special recipe that she invented that is very well themed to where their hotel is located. So I think you are going to love my conversation with Chef Brittany Martin from the Hyatt Regency Lake Washington. Chef Brittany, welcome to the show.
Hello.
So I have been looking at pictures of the hotel where you work, and I just have to say, like, before we get into the food and everything, it is so stunning. Are you there all the time? Like with that water view, you're just there all the time?
Yep, I'm there all the time, and it is a privilege to be able to work at a hotel that's like right up on the water.
It is.
I originally came from Arizona, and there was no water to be seen, and now it's right there.
It is gorgeous. Like, I seriously was like, okay, I live in Florida, but like, I'm going to go get married in Seattle. Like that's happening. So I'm really excited to be talking with you, apart from just loving the hotel where you work, but especially because like listeners to the show know I grew up with in my parents' restaurants and they did a ton of catering. We did all kinds of banquets. And I know from what I've read about you and what you're doing that the banquet scene is changing a lot these days. We don't just have chicken Kiev and, you know, roast turkeys, the standard buffet fare. It's really different. So what have you been noticing is really changing in the industry in that way?
I think honestly, just the mindset of like what banquet food is has changed. It used to be, like you said, like the old standard wedding type food. And now it's really kind of going neck to neck with restaurants and like making sure we use modernized cooking techniques, focusing on local ingredients, trying to capture different cuisine types so that we're interesting, you know?
Yeah, so people don't go to a wedding or an event and are just kind of like, is it fish or chicken? They're going to have, or maybe it is still fish or chicken, but it's going to be like, do you have examples of ways that it's different, like what you might see on a plate that you might not expect?
Yeah, so I try to have a bunch of like cultural references into the food. So instead of you just getting, like a chicken breast, you're going to get like a Korean style gochujang chicken breast with fried rice and, sesame bok choy. So it's going to be completely different than what you're normally going to get at maybe a different venue, I would say.
No, that makes so much sense. And it sounds really exciting and like you're never going to know what you're going to get. I'm wondering, so I've been to a lot of, food blogging conferences lately, actually. And what I've noticed is how much, even more than 10 years ago, even more than 5 years ago, how much recently these events are taking into account dietary restrictions. And they're like, because I'm coming from a food and cooking perspective, I can look at the table sometimes and realize like, oh, most people can eat all of these things. Like it's somehow being almost like a Tetris or like a jigsaw puzzle, these pieces put together. Do you have an approach to trying to fit everybody's dietary restrictions without having to make like a different meal for each person? Is there a strategy to that?
I mean, we try to be mindful, right? So that the gluten-free is very popular now. Dairy-free is very popular. Like somebody shouldn't just have their own special plates. We try to build that into buffets so that one item on the buffet will be covering your gluten-frees, covering your dairy-frees. But more importantly, what I've noticed is like the vegan movement, right? So prior to when I started 12 years ago, a vegan dish was like roasted vegetables and that was it. There was no thought, no love behind it, nothing. So I try to really stress that to my team to be like, you should, as a non-vegan, want to eat this dish. So we do a lot of we have right now like a gnocchi puttanesca, which is gluten-free, dairy-free, nut-free, vegan, but like non-vegans will eat it and it's their meal as well. And they enjoy it. And they're shocked when they find out how it's so dietary friendly, but it doesn't taste like that.
Oh, I love that approach. Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. I've done the catering with my parents, of course, years ago, but like when I do Thanksgiving dinner at my house, I don't like it like when there's one dish that I'm like, okay, guys, only the vegetarians can have this over here. So I always try to I do like there's a butternut squash gratin dish thing that I do that is like, it's vegan and it's dairy free and it's got these nice like breadcrumbs on it. And I don't even say anything. Like it's just on the table there. Like I'll pull aside the like vegetarian or vegan guest to be like, you can definitely have that. But I'm not also saying you guys can't, or this is like a weird special thing. So I don't know. It's really inclusive, right? It makes the celebrations better.
Yeah, because, like food is about memories and creating memories. And so like it's a feast and I want every guest to come into that door and feel like they're having a seat at like my personal family table.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's so good. So, okay, you are in the Pacific Northwest, the hotel's in Seattle. Are you making use of the local ingredients? I know that there's I love being there. There's just so much variety. Are you able to do that on these big banquet scale, hotel scale dinners?
Surprisingly, yeah, we are. Seattle, Pacific Northwest has a ton of produce. It was kind of shocking when I came here to see blackberries growing on the side of the road, but there's such a surplus of it. So a lot of our produce is from local farms. We partner with local vendors and try to get them on the menu as much as possible and do call outs to them because it's really important for me to embrace the Pacific Northwest and all the beautiful things it offers us.
Yeah, no, that's really great. So, Brittany, have you brought a surprise recipe for me today?
I have, and I'm very excited about
it. I'm excited to find out what it is. What is it?
Okay, so it's called the Hendrix Flatbread. Oh. And it's kind of my homage to the Pacific Northwest and the legend Jimi Hendrix.
Love it. Hendrix Flatbread. Okay, where do you start? Wait, are you a Jimi Hendrix fan?
Yes. So I grew up with my father and he listened to a lot of classic rock. So this is something that's near and dear to my heart. And finding out Jimi Hendrix was actually born in Washington and his memorial, funny enough, is 10 minutes away from the hotel. So that was one of the first things I visited when I came here.
Oh, I love it. That's so great. Now, okay, you're going to probably tell me this, but is it inspired by foods that he liked or by his general visual or sense of style? Where is this inspiration from?
So the ingredients are Pacific Northwest based inspired. Mm-hmm. However, we use a cheese that's called a Purple Haze cheese. And obviously Purple Haze is his most famous song.
I love it. Okay, that's great. Okay, where do you start when you're making this flatbread?
So I'll start with like the pizza dough. So for this particular one, pizza dough and flatbread are a bit different. Pizza dough has more of a rise and flatbread is more of like an unleavened type thing. So I choose a flatbread for this. And we start with basically a cup of flour and a cup of yogurt. We mix that together with 2 teaspoons of baking powder, salt, and then chopped herbs. The herbs can be anything people want, whatever's in your garden, whatever you have on hand. I typically like rosemary, thyme, and chives. And then we kind of basically knead that into a dough. We will divide that into equal portions. So depending on how many people you're eating, it could be 6, it could be 2, whatever is your discretion.
Mm-hmm.
And then we roll it out, or you can hand press it. You can roll it. If you have like a tamale presser, you can use that. And then basically you heat oil in a skillet and you kind of cook it so that it's golden brown on each side. You flip it and then you set it aside to assemble.
So this is baking powder based. So there's no like rising time or anything like that. You're pretty much mixing it and cooking it immediately.
Yeah. So this recipe is great for being impressive to like party guests, but also when you come home from work and you're tired and you want something fast, this recipe is perfect for that too.
And is it the texture of that flatbread? Is it like pita bread like, or it not as fluffy as that?
It is almost like pita bread, maybe a little denser than pita bread.
Oh, I'm very much intrigued. I'm going to give that a try. Thank you. Okay. So you made the breads and then what?
Yes. So then after it's all, grilled and delicious, then you're going to basically start sauteing some onions and some garlic. You can do this in olive oil. You can do it in butter. You can do it in any type of oil you want. But you're going to want to caramelize that and then set that off to the side so that it cools down. So you don't want to assemble that hot on your pizza. And then you're going to take this purple haze cheese. Now you can get this cheese at any grocery store. So if you have a Kroger, Fred Meyer, whatever, they usually carry it in their like artisanal cheese section. But it's a goat cheese that has fennel and lavender in it.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It's really, really delicious. And like some people can get standoffish with lavender, like it doesn't want to taste like soap. But this cheese has like a hint of lavender. So it's not going to overpower anything. And it's not going to give you that soapy taste that we want to avoid. But you'll put that cheese on the bottom of your flatbread like it's the sauce.
Oh, so you're sort of spreading it.
Yeah. So you can spread it by hand and press it on the flatbread. Or if you have like a RoboCoupe or like a food processor, a KitchenAid mixer, even a paddle, you can kind of loosen up the cheese just by introducing like heat to it. It'll make it easier to spread. You'll put your sauteed onions and garlic on top of it. And then you're going to layer that with prosciutto. And if you don't like prosciutto, you can use like capicola, pancetta. You can leave it off if you want a vegetarian pizza. Sky's the limit. And then you're going to top that with mozzarella and then you'll bake it. So I usually bake because flatbreads, you've already cooked the dough. So you don't want it to like stay in the oven for very long. So I usually do about 375 and it's about 10 to 14 minutes. Really, you're just cooking the cheese. So once your cheese starts to brown, then your flatbread's done and you can pull it out.
Okay.
And then we will top it with crushed pistachios and then drizzle it with a fig reduction. And that is pretty much it.
That sounds amazing. Now, if I didn't have a fig reduction, I'm just thinking about what I have in the house right now. I have like one of those like balsamic reductions, where you can buy from the grocery store. Could I use something like that?
Yes. And if let's say you don't want to make a fig reduction because it's taking too long. If you can go to a store and get like fig jam and you can take that and mix it with a balsamic reduction. And now you just made a fig reduction.
Oh, I love that. Actually, I have fig preserves in my fridge right now. I was doing like a brie grilled cheese, which everybody, yes, it's coming to the website soon. Don't worry. It's a brie grilled cheese with boursin and fig preserves on it. It would probably just melt the fig jam, right? If I put it in the microwave. And then
Correct.
I just need to thin it down a little bit with something a little syrupy.
Yeah, I would honestly just add some of your balsamic reduction to the fig preservatives. And then you have the perfect mixture.
That sounds fantastic. And so it's just topped with the pistachios and the fig reduction, and you cut it in wedges and serve, and that's it?
That's it.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah, and this recipe is great for, obviously, you to do singly, but it's also really fun to have for a date night, or if you want to get kids involved. Like, it's versatile.
Now, is this a recipe that you would do at a hotel banquet kind of event, or not really?
It is. Actually, it's featured on our fall and winter banquet menu that's coming up.
Oh, wow. And is it more like an appetizer? Is it on like a buffet snack spread? Where would we find that?
We have it on as a presentation station. So we have a bunch of flatbreads, and then it'll be kind of nicely displayed.
Oh, I love that. Well, Brittany, this has been fascinating. Can you let people know where they can find out more about the hotel where you work and banquets, that kind of thing going on there? Where's the best place for them to go?
Finding for general hotel information, you can visit Hyatt Regency LakeWashington.com, or you can visit us on Instagram at Hyatt Lake Wash.
That's wonderful. And there's going to be a picture of this dish on the Instagram, right? Yes, yes.
Yep.
That's so cool.
There'll be a picture and the recipe probably. So your viewers or listeners don't have to go that far.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Brittany. This has been great.
Thank you so much.
I really want to get my hands on that cheese and try Chef Brittany's flatbread. How fun. And seriously, go and have a look at what that banquet space looks like. It is so pretty over there. Thank you so much, Chef Brittany. That was really fun. Now it's time to talk about what I am cooking in my kitchen this coming week. And I have to tell you, I have actually canceled my main cooking day because the hurricane and how I'm feeling. So I don't have anything officially planned, but I have bought some ingredients because I was planning to do some things. And so I'm going to do a little bit of testing. I'm working on this mac and cheese cups recipe. I think I've told you about it before. Basically, what I want to do is when I have leftover pasta of any kind, just plain leftover pasta, which I always have because I always cook too much of it, I want to have a recipe where I can just put it in muffin tins with a couple of other ingredients and it comes out delicious, like little mac and cheese cups. I do not want to have to make a sauce on the stove or mix the pasta with all kinds of stuff. I just want to do it in the muffin tin like that. So I've been playing around with that and I've tried some things. It's working pretty well. I'm doing another round with that. I have also actually bought some store-bought mac and cheese, already made mac and cheese, and I want to see if what I'm doing with the plain macaroni can be adapted to that for when you have actual leftover mac and cheese. How do you make that into mac and cheese cups? So I'm doing those for sure. And then I have some acorn squashes and butternut squashes that I had bought to do some testing. And what I really want to do is to find out if I can roast those guys halved in the air fryer with their seeds around them, probably not for the whole time that they're roasting, but added partway through, and end up with beautifully roasted squash and toasted squash seeds. You see what I'm saying? So I am going to be playing with that, but not as an official cook day with pictures and video, not with the lovely Jennifer, just on my own. So if I have the energy and if it's not too nuts around here, I will be doing that in the days ahead. As to what is going live on the sites this week, there is a new recipe on each site. On the Cookful, there is a brie grilled cheese. Do you guys remember when I was testing this? I am obsessed. It's both the best pairing of savory and sweet with the brie. I love it. It's got apple, fig preserves, and a garlic and herb Boursin cheese and the brie. And it's just insane. So that is going live on the Cookful this week. And on Cook the Story, I have finally done it. You know, I have all kinds of gravy recipes on Cook the Story. I'm kind of obsessed with gravy. I love it. You know, the bacon gravy recipe went viral on social media all over the place, but just my how to make gravy tutorial and the gravy without drippings. And there's egg gravy, ground beef gravy, pork gravy, chicken gravy. And for some reason, I had always avoided doing turkey gravy. And it was because I didn't want to have to roast a whole turkey on a photo shoot video day because it would take up so much time and effort. But I did it. I think you probably remember right when my kids were going back to school back in August for our Sunday dinner before they started school. I spent the day cooking, filming, and shooting and made a big turkey dinner. And then we had Thanksgiving in August and did that turkey dinner. And so that is when I did all of the finalization of the turkey gravy recipe. And it is finally going live on Cook the Story this week. And I just want to prepare you. It's very detailed. So like you're going to make the most perfect, most delicious turkey gravy ever if you follow this recipe, but you actually can just jump down to the recipe and everything you need is down in the recipe. Like if you follow those instructions perfectly, it will turn out great. Everything above that, all those details is more like the why behind why you're doing all those things. So if you don't want to read it all, just jump down to the recipe and you will have a great turkey gravy. And yeah, so that is going up this week in time for Canadian Thanksgiving, which is right around the corner. It's sort of mid-October. So that's why we're doing that now. As to what I'm telling you about this week on this podcast, I am not doing the turkey gravy yet. I'm saving that for closer to Canadian Thanksgiving. I am doing a squash recipe. Oh, there's a London broil. Oh, and the 1st of October is in this coming week, and I am celebrating with the perfect October recipe. Hint, hint, it involves apples. You are going to love it. And I have something for Rosh Hashanah, which is also this week. We are cooking a food that is traditionally eaten at Rosh Hashanah. So that is on the agenda as well. So much tasty food coming your way every single day, 7 days a week. I'm always bringing you a new recipe. Make sure you are subscribed to the show so you don't miss any of it. Head to cookthestory.com/ROTD and subscribe there, or just whatever app you like to listen to podcasts on. Search for Recipe of the Day there and hit subscribe or follow, and you will see all the episodes. There are over 1,000 of them now, actually over 1,100 of them now, and a new one every day. I want to say a big thank you to Chef Brittany out there at the Hyatt Regency Lake, Washington. Thank you for being a great guest and for bringing such a wonderful recipe to us. Thank you out there for listening. I really appreciate that you're out there. And I am going to go rest my voice and start prepping for this hurricane. Okay, I'm Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, the all-new chicken cookbook, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great weekend. Let's get cooking.